The fact that we should be mindful and place others' necessities in front of our own does not mean that anyone lets us know that being too kind and caring can be hazardous. We experience an everyday reality to such an extent that we don't consistently get what we give, since it's stacked with liberal people who see how their giving debilitates them both financially and physically. Being unreasonably kind can even put our own lives at risk. Be amazed by the horrendous things that can happen to you when you're caring. Today, I'll tell you 8 dreadful things that can happen to you if you're too fair, and I'll show you 4 outrageous ways of keeping people from taking advantage of you. We ought to progress forward to number 1. Moving right along, you will have unreasonably high expectations of people. The Passionate said that we should recognize things as they are and not depend upon how others fulfill us. Offering without asking a great deal as a trade-off keeps you away from being unsettled and helps you practice significant restraint, which gives you a more peaceful mind. Even if we know about it, it's hard for us to totally be conciliatory when we give. When we give all that we have, we expect each other individual to do the same when we need something significant. However, you've gotten people so used to having everything achieved for them that they'll expect that you would be capable of handling all that in their lives and yours, especially your own sense. In such a case, if you make an effort not to manage your own, how should you manage others? In reality, your assumptions for correspondence will not be met, and you'll end up with a horrible perspective, languor, and shock. Feel sorry still, if we look at it fairly, people aren't letting you down, they're just doing what you should do, which is managing their own endeavors. People will simply guess that you ought to give them something, which is the subsequent point. However, that's what Stoics say. It's crucial to remember that veritable worth comes from acting in a way that is perfect and intelligent, not from essentially doing what others need. Control and giving in a sensible way help you remain responsible for your own actions and keep you from getting into relationships that hurt your mental health. You've heard for seemingly perpetually that people are unsurprising creatures, and this couldn't be clearer. People are made to conform to a model, a way of life, and an outfit of things occurring around them. The probability of them staying in their safe spot comes from this yearning to genuinely change. This means that if you're reliably giving, people you help will expect you to give them something continually. You'll lead them into their comfort zones, and they won't have to do a significant portion of their commitments since you'll be there to do them. If you don't regard yourself, no one is likely going to look at you without flinching and exhort you to contemplate yourself. Simply don't anticipate this kind of compassion from people you assist because they'd stick to their own Robin Hood, which would set them back a ton in their lives. Third, your goals will not be taken into account. The apathetic said that it's fundamental to live by reason and exemplary nature, to draw certain lines, and to put our own liabilities first to stay in balance and not give up our personality and thriving for others. If you put each other individuals' prerequisites beforehand your own, you could end up taking off from something inside you that harms and cautions you. How might you feel when you spend a weekend alone or get back regularly, acknowledging no one is there to invite you if you're doing such countless different things just to create some distance from yourself? The blow will be twice as hard. From one perspective, you'll need to confront yourself eventually or another, and on the other, your horrendous perspective will worsen as you start to put others' prerequisites before your own. Taking care of oneself is one of the most significant aspects of being strong. Before you can assist others with feeling better, you truly need to ensure you're lively, restored, and all around disapproved. For that reason, you should never give someone a chocolate unless you first really thoroughly enjoyed one yourself. Similarly, you shouldn't propose to clean a mate's home until you've cleaned your own and watched a nice film while tasting wine. The other world comes after you. Fourth, people will think you are feeble and treat you that way. Lack of approachability encourages us to balance being strong and liable for ourselves by defining specific boundaries and practicing poise. We can show others that we are centered around our own commitments and objectives, gaining their respect rather than being seen as weak. If you help other people a lot over time, you might be considered an expert in the area where you work with others. However, you might make the explicit converse impression when you try not to draw certain lines. People start to see you as fragile, particularly like the person who conflicts with a boss so much that they'll come to you to offload their commitments, knowing you will not say no. Going against the standard when you use this witchcraft word, they will start to feel something for you. They will not ever suspect you would have a ton of buts or people who simply come to you right when they need something. Coldness shows us how huge it is to be smart and keen by picking whom to help with carefulness and perspective. We can differentiate between certifiable people and individuals who need to make use of us so we don't waste our time and energy on things that don't help. People who thought you were a good friend out of nowhere simply want to spend time with you when they need something. Things being what they are, it's not really outlandish that this could happen to you, since by far most don't invite their delegates or partners to have coffee with them. Also, a lumberjack, what's the deal with you? It appears alright, but that doesn't mean it's fair, so you need to sort out some way to manage them. I'll illuminate you concerning the finish to keep people from taking advantage of you. Sixth, you'll simply get people who need something and never individuals who want to give. With patient judgment, we can build associations that are certifiable and good for both parties. People come into our lives because their energies align with our own. That is, if we vibrate low, we attract people who are negative, deterred, have faint spirits, and want to hurt us. When our vibrations are high, on the other hand, we draw people who are overflowing with positive energy, thought, enthusiasm, and joy. As a result, when we accommodate everyone, we lose so much energy that we start vibrating at a low frequency. This causes poor people to feel drawn to us, as well as trailblazers who want to help and just need to take whatever is possible from us and leave without saying thank you. Seventh, you might find yourself surrounded by people who only come to you when they need something, rather than genuinely wanting to be around you. This tendency can create a dynamic where you're only valued for what you can provide or do for others, rather than for who you are. It's important to recognize that relationships built on utility rather than mutual respect and affection can be draining and unfulfilling. By setting clear boundaries and being selective about whom you invest your time and energy into, you can foster more genuine and reciprocal connections. Eighth, you may encounter situations where your generosity leads to exploitation. People might take advantage of your willingness to help, expecting you to always be available and to meet their needs without regard for your own limits or well-being. This can lead to a pattern where you are constantly giving but not receiving the same level of support or appreciation in return. To prevent this, it's crucial to balance your generosity with self-care and to assertively communicate your limits. Now, let's discuss 4 outrageous ways to protect yourself from people taking advantage of you. Establish firm boundaries. Clearly define what you are and aren't willing to do. Communicate these boundaries assertively to others. Being firm about your limits helps prevent people from assuming they can push your boundaries. Practice discernment. Be selective about whom you help. Assess whether the person asking for help is genuinely in need or if they are merely taking advantage of your kindness. Developing discernment can help you avoid situations where you are exploited. Prioritize self-care. Ensure that you are taking care of your own needs before attending to others. Self-care is not selfish, it's essential for maintaining your well-being and ensuring that you have the energy and resources to help others effectively. Monitor your energy levels. Pay attention to how your interactions with others affect your energy. If you find that certain relationships are consistently draining or exploitative, consider adjusting your involvement with those individuals to protect your own mental and emotional health. In summary, while being kind and caring are admirable traits, it's important to balance these qualities with self-respect and assertiveness. By establishing clear boundaries, practicing discernment, prioritizing self-care, and monitoring your energy, you can protect yourself from being taken advantage of and foster healthier, more reciprocal relationships.